right. Okay, let's call the meeting to order. Who's got the timer? 8:04. All right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'd like to have a motion to adopt the agenda. Casey makes the motion. Donna seconds. Eddie Howard. Diane. What? Thank you. Yeah, I need a pen. Well, I have them. I've got tons of them.
I don't know why I'm checking my pockets. I didn't put them in my briefcase because I've been too many times explored in my pockets.
Oh, not so quick. Okay, we had a motion. Yeah. And we have a vote on the adopting the agenda. All those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous? Okay.
So who made the motion and who seconded it?
I motion.
And Donna seconds. Okay.
Okay. Now I vote to see.
And do we have the minutes from the previous meeting? I don't believe she sent them out, did she?
I didn't see that.
have them in draft.
Yeah.
You can table the acceptance.
Yeah, we'll have to table those until next.
Okay.
Do we have a motion to table?
I make a motion to table them until next meeting.
Second. Charlie seconds. All those in favor? Okay. Unanimous. Public comment. Anybody have a public comment?
I have a question.
Sure.
I think RCLS has some sort of a yearly meeting next month, or maybe at the end of this month. Do you send a representative?
They have a legislative breakfast, which we just had. And actually, Patricia Shanley went, and that's where she received a Trustee of the Year award. And who else went with you?
Anne-Marie.
Anne-Marie.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
All right. I thought it was later in the month. There was another type thing, no? Annual meeting or
It's
something?
like in September, beginning of October.
Yeah.
Yes, it's their annual meeting.
And of course, we're in contact with RCLS all the time. If we have any issues or anything, we just call them up. Marilyn is it the answer committee you're on?
Mm-hmm. Automated Network Services and
Yeah.
the Directors Association.
So there's plenty of contact. And they just had budget meetings that they canceled because there was not enough interest in people attending them. And they had them in both Rockland, Orange, and Sullivan, I guess, right?
Yeah, they have one in every county.
And in Ulster. Aren't they partly Ulster?
Yeah, but they usually combine those with Sullivan.
Okay, all right. So, does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that was September 18th.
Yeah. Okay, the director's report.
Okay, I have some communications because we have the We Care What You Think cards. And I'll address the answer to this one. A patron was in upset because she had her barcode on her phone, so and our scanners don't physically take that; they just don't. So she wanted her card typed in, the number typed in, and we require a library card. And the reason we don't type it in is because so many times in our system somebody has typed in the number and picked the wrong name, and now somebody has overdue books, but that's the wrong person, and so we've all agreed that we would only use library cards, but not every library abides by that. And so that's what this is about. The woman was upset. It's absolutely ridiculous that the RCLS has, I'm not sure what this word is, an app or an appointment with my library card stored inside, but only in Monroe can we not use it, that we must have the card. And that is not true because we'd all agreed that you needed a library card to check out material, just like when the policeman stopped you for speeding, you need your license. And there are reasons for that, to protect people. The next one says you could design a cloth book bag that looks like the library card, the real bag, and sell them for benefit of the library. I thought that was pretty cute.
Clever idea.
Yeah, very clever. It would be a help to the community if the library card is linked with the driver's license. That way, if one does not have the card on the person, at least the trip to the library would not be a waste of time.
That would take state involvement.
That would take something to do. I
Well,
can't,
unless, but not necessarily, if, when they register for their library card, they give you what their license number is
Well, they
off of their
do.
license. We don't need to coordinate with the state then.
no, they have to show their license to get the card.
Right, I understand that, but I mean, do we record what their New York State license
I don't
number
think
is?
so,
If
no.
we did, just from a data mining perspective,
Yeah.
then we could
There's
use
no
that as another.
field for that.
Okay, well, I don't know how the system's developed or whatever, but we might be able to.
Name,
add it.
address, telephone number, date, not even date of birth.
You could maybe
no.
ask God and they might do.
Okay, no, fair enough. I'm just
No.
creative thinking.
You're right. I come down from Manhattan every summer, and my favorite place here is Monroe Library. The staff are the most helpful and friendly staff I've ever met. The library has all the books I want, or they order for me, and it comes within the next week. Manhattan libraries can't compare. Lisa Ottman.
That's nice.
I felt pretty good about that.
Yeah.
Absolutely love this library. Especially the ability to take out multiple DVDs at one time. If we don't like one, there's always another. The staff is excellent. So they started up with bad stuff. All right. We have virtual reality here, and we've kind of tested it out on the teens over the summer, but now we're going to the adults and the community. Although anybody could do it, kids too. And Alex is here, so don't. He does incredible work, and this is what he's designed. It's called a virtual reality dance card, and he not only drew this and put virtual reality masks on it, which he did through Illustrator, but if you want to have a dance, it's not a dance. It shows you all the different things that we have, like you can take a trip, just for the people who can't see, Carnival of Venice, Rome, Paris, Kipahulu, Maui, Antarctica, Japan. Or you can pick experiences, what happens inside the body, in the cockpit of a jet fighter, Stephen King's It, and others, plenty of others. And they run anywhere from 2 to 6 minutes. So if you could, you could do 4 at a time. So you've got about a 20-minute experience. Having had the training in virtual reality, which you don't need to be really trained because these are people who are going to be sitting down. But when you go into it, you are not of this world. It's an amazing experience. So I'm encouraging any of you to get a dance card. I'm going to go to Paris. I'm going to go to 4 places. The Hawaiian Islands is one of them. Amsterdam. So this is when, then in the back there's the disclaimer, and of course they have to sign off.
That's very nice.
Yes. But there'll be someone in the room with them for the 20 minutes. So we're going to launch this in November. And I just think he did a fabulous job.
That's awesome.
Wow, that's great. Nice concept.
Yeah.
VR is going to be the next disruptive technology in both entertainment and travel.
And we got it first, right here in Monroe.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So you're leaving the board now? Is that-
Only when he's using the dance card.
That's right.
You saw in the newspaper that our artist is Haley Carlisle. Her work is out there. She works in watercolor, which I happen to love, and graphite. Following that are all the adult programs that we held here, and then the children's programming, which is so extensive. I mean, I'm just going to brush over that. You can look at that yourself.
Just explain to me, Marilyn, what is this Duplo? I saw this in your report, and I don't
It's big
understand it.
Legos.
Yeah.
Oh,
For little 2 or 3 year olds.
They're bigger for the little kids
Yeah.
to be able to handle.
Right. And some of them have
that's nice.
like a crow or a, there they are like this. This is Duplo.
Oh.
Legos for little hands.
I learned something. It's a good day.
In your packets to read at your leisure, I was going through some old things. And it was part of the history. I started here in 1984, and the photo news articles that I'm going to give you were dated in 1985. And if you remember, if you lived here long enough, this library was yay big, and then in 1984 they added the front on, okay? When you walk into the building and you take a left by reference desk and you go into the front, that big opening, that was a window. And the front was a lawn. And Read them in order. I stapled them together so you'd read the first one first. Nothing ever changes. And Bill Bolenbach, our room is named after him, Community Room B. He gave it, in my opinion, explaining, this tells you one story, and Bill will tell you another. So I thought you'd really enjoy a little trip back in history of this library, an important time in this library. Okay, we have 2 new people in the reference department. Eli Jonas, who only works 1 Saturday per month. He's just trying to get his foot in the door. He's really taking care of his grandmother. And Emily Wilson, who also works in Chester, and she works in the evenings, and everyone loves Emily already, so you'll probably get to meet them maybe next month.
Yeah, I saw Emily the other night when I was here.
Yeah, I don't know the real thing about her, so. A while back I was on actually I'm a founding member of the Greater Monroe Chamber of Commerce. I was a board member for many, many years. And then we had the building project, and I just had to drop so many things at that point in time. We're on that board. So I saw Mike Latier because he came in to ask me about if we wanted to participate when they paint the windows for Halloween, and of course, yeah, we do. And then he said, we'd love it if you'd come back on the Chamber of Commerce board. I said, oh, okay. And I thought he might forget. He didn't. No, he didn't. But I thought to myself, let me ask Mary Duffy if she would like to do it. I've had the experience for many, many years. I got to know all the business people. She's not had that opportunity. So I said, hey, Mary, would you like to do that? And she said, yes, I would. So I nominated her for the board. And I sent that nomination in. And so I'm hoping they accept her. I think they will. The auditors asked me to find out when this board would like to begin the next audit. And they suggested the date of February 15th, which would be a good date for them. So I think, I don't know if you need a vote on that, or just an agreement. It's just an agreement.
Yeah, I would say.
It's up to the audit committee, but yeah, I think that's fine.
So,
Yeah.
I think you're on the audit committee, right? Yeah. So who wants to
With
contact?
the caveat that they didn't have a bad day the day before.
Well, it's Valentine's Day today.
That's what I'm saying. If they had a bad day, I don't want them coming and looking at our books that day.
We'll make sure they get flowers.
Perfect. Leftover chocolates. Oh, wait, I don't know what these are for.
So would you like me to contact them and tell them that's
Sure.
okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
It's nice to have it in place for them, for us.
Yes. Would be kind of a first. I don't think we've ever had an audit done like in a timely fashion as long as I've been. Okay. All right. I put in here that RCLS, they have a budget, and every library gets to vote on that budget or not. They need, I think, 24 votes, yes votes, to pass their budget. If they don't and they lose, the budget goes back to last year's budget. I will tell you this, they have cut themselves to the bone, and their financial person there, Steve Holfer, he's excellent. They did have budget hearings, which nobody went to. And so I would encourage you to vote. Pat has the ballot. That she will then, when you vote yes or whatever you vote, we'll fill out the ballot, and then I'll return that to RCLS. Would you like to vote now while it's on the table?
Why don't we let you finish your report and then we'll come back to it. We can do it under, I don't know, we'll find the spot.
Okay. All right. Had already signed our answer agreement. That is not something we vote on. That is something that if we didn't sign, we don't have delivery we would have delivery, but we wouldn't have a card catalog, automated card catalog, or an ILS system, which is how we check in and out books. That would go away. So there's no vote on that. I showed you the virtual reality dance card. In your packets, you'll see the letter that I received from the town stating that our budget this year will be on the ballot, which is always nice. I wanted to just give special mention to Marie Pulverine. For the past 3 years, she's a Monroe Woodbury Garden Club member. And when I reached out to the Garden Club to see if they could beautify the library when we moved here, she was the one that stepped up to the plate, and we're kind of her project. And those flower boxes outside, she keeps them going. Rocco waters them too, but she comes with jugs of water, and she has a lot of history. She's an older woman with a lot of history. She has interesting stories about Mario Cuomo and his little boy Andrew, and there's a little house out there. If you peeked out the window, you'll see a little house. she has let us, that's on loan to us from Marie for the children.
Do you think you could write her a thank you note? Sure. Think that might be appropriate?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you know, she hasn't even submitted her, I keep saying, Marie, could you submit your bill for the flowers you put into the box? And she's like, I have to get people to have it. So I wanted to really point that up. And
What's her name? Marie what?
Marie Pulverant.
Pulverant.
Pulverant. And do it,
He'll have to, I'll have to remember to give you her address.
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Okay, I talked about the Halloween windows. Village Water Department came to see if we had water at 40. We knew we didn't have water, but he wanted to know if we had a meter, and we don't. So that's that. So they're just removing us from their system.
Great.
And you know, because I sent it to all of you, that we're at the last, we're just waiting for that check for the water. And then we received the final 10% of our LLSA grant. For anybody who wants, like, what is that? How do we get that? That's in your packet. It's pretty explanatory as to what that grant is. Any questions for me?
I actually just want to circle back to setting the date for the future audit.
Yep.
Not trying to rock the boat by any
Yep.
means, but I just think we'd be remiss if I didn't ask the two questions. One, will be all pleased with their services? I was fine with it. I'm not trying to rock the boat, but you know, it's important just to discuss
They
it.
actually went back 2 years so that they could have a good
Well, they
running
have to,
start.
and it's not even about them doing, you know, to have a good start. That's actually a requirement of any new auditee.
Okay,
You have to go back 1 year in order to
Okay.
make sure that your starting point is correct.
okay,
You know, because otherwise, how are you gonna? You can look at what happened during the year, but you don't know the
Right.
beginning and end analysis.
right.
I'm fine with them. I'm not saying they did a bad job or anything like that. I just wanted to kick the tires and make sure everyone was pleased with their service.
Yeah.
And then also before we set a date, did they say anything about fees for next year? Because obviously
They didn't talk about these.
they didn't talk about this.
No.
Okay. The assumption, and it's fine if you want to set that as a tentative date, pending you know, a fee proposal. You know,
Oh,
because I
that's
don't want to
so
just
easy.
agree
Yeah.
to start an audit on any
Right,
day.
and then find they raised it.
Right.
Exactly.
out.
I'll get
Let
that for
alone
you.
raised a couple of times. Technically, as a first-year audit client, they would have been doing more work
Mhm.
than a second year, because in a second-year return, they're not checking 2 years worth of financials. They already know last year was
So it
reliable.
should
They audited.
possibly be a
Should be
reduction.
less.
However, they will
Okay.
be doing the New York State Annual, the financial section, which they didn't in Steve Strobin's report.
Okay, but again, from a line item perspective, I'm not saying overall fees, but
Right.
you know,
Yes.
they should be charging
That,
us for
yeah.
that audit,
Right.
and we should be working that in.
I'll
So I
get
just
that
want
from them.
to
And then I'll
make sure.
send it on.
I'd be remiss if I didn't kick the tires. That's my job.
Okay, right,
All right.
absolutely. Just before we leave Marilyn's director's report, I've got an email. I'm on the mailing list finally from the library. Alex got me on it, and I got a nice notice today reminding me about the budget vote. And down at the bottom, there's a thing where you can forward it. I tried to forward it, but for some reason, this particular application was down this afternoon. But I would say if you can forward it to everybody that you know in town that you think will be voting, it would help the library a lot. It's an
Copy the
easy
link and
thing
put it
to
on
do.
Facebook.
Yeah.
If you know anyone who'd be willing to write a letter of support, that'd be great. I mean, all the paper is filled with either palm tree or people who are running. And it's okay that we haven't been in yet, but we should at least
Yeah,
have.
I'm gonna do one.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank
For
you.
sure.
I can't.
No.
do it.
No, but I will.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to say, since it's getting close to Halloween, did anybody notice that the place next door is haunted? There's been a light in the back window
Yeah,
there.
that purple light.
Yeah.
Also up top on the top floor also.
Oh, I didn't notice that one.
Are you talking about the theater or the
No.
garden?
The book.
Is
The
it purple
dentist,
light?
the book
There's
garden.
a-
Oh,
Purple
that, I'm
light?
talking about the Mason's house
Oh,
up behind you.
Oh no, I'm talking about next door. There's been lights on there
it's all around.
since over a week.
Really?
So yeah.
Tis the season.
Somebody
Tis the
probably went
season.
in and forgot
Yeah.
to shut the
Yeah,
light.
but
Went in
yeah.
during
What's
the.
going in though?
Cool.
Well, your staff goes in first.
Well, we go
don't
in, but I went in with the water department guy, but I don't think I turned on any lights.
Maybe he did.
Maybe he did.
Yeah.
He might have, and then I wouldn't have known that. And
Right.
then night comes and there's the light. But if it was in that very corner room, we never went in there because that's locked and I don't even have the key. I mean, Mary has the key. That's the key. I just
The mold has become sentient.
Yes.
It's phosphorescent. It's glowing.
Up the
I
wall.
leave the essence.
Okay. Back to the present here. The treasurer's report?
So, a few things tonight. The least of which, well, not the least of which, the beginning of which I shall say, is we were very happy. Steve Hofer, actually, from RCLS, came in 2 weeks ago, I want to say, at this point,
Yeah.
2 weeks ago. Well, actually, let me back up even before I talk about Steve Hofer coming in. We have our new bookkeeper, Laura, everyone. So, welcome aboard, Laura. Laura comes with actual library bookkeeping experience, which is a huge plus for us. Help us keep things in order and bring in some best practices like we've been talking about. I'm very excited for Laura to be here. Thank you.
And Laura, what's your last name?
Grisard, Grisal.
Just so everybody knows for sure who you are, and I apologize for not.
I thought you were here last month, weren't you?
No, she wasn't.
That finance meeting was the first one.
Yeah.
Because it was the day before.
Okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking
The
of.
day before Steve came was Laura's first day.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it was a lot to actually, so that brings me to my next point. Steve came in,
Right.
Laura's second day. So we did talk a little bit about our financial statements and our minutes and some of the best practices from bylaws. We didn't get to looking at the actual day-to-day controls. Part of that was because it was Laura's first day and we didn't want to throw too much on her plate, and we also wanted to get her involved and have her feet get in the water before we started pulling everything apart and changing the processes. So get her understanding of the business first, and then we can move from there. So Steve has agreed to come back again in in probably 2 or 3 months and work through the process with us again. So we're very thankful for that. But I will say he had some good takeaways, some of which he was looking at outdated bylaws, but we were able to take some of the suggestions, other suggestions we already dealt with at the last meeting when we made all those bylaw changes. But overall, it was very productive, and he complimented us on the strength of our balance sheet, which we often credit to Marilyn. So thank you very much. But he thought we were in absolute great financial position. It was good to get that validation from a third party as well, especially someone as skilled and experienced to see it.
So true.
So it was excellent. So now the good news, medium news, good news sandwich. The good news is I know we've been tabling the financials a lot. I did get a chance to come in. I did what's known as a warrant audit, which Steve talked to us about, which is taking the AP check runs, reviewing all the checks that were issued, making selections of checks to be tested. I went in, I did that for all 3 months. I didn't find any issues whatsoever with AP. Went over and did a trend analysis over the balance fluctuations on all the different accounts. Everything seemed fine. Normally you would do that using the cash budget analysis. Unfortunately, that's one of those things that we were talking to Steve about. We have to be better at our cash budgets, and I'm going to be working with Marilyn, Mary, and Laura to get us to where we need to be with those. It's not that there's a problem with it, but the way that we have been doing it is the budget number has always stayed static. But your day-to-day, month-to-month, your activity fluctuates. It changes, your need changes, money that you anticipated coming in doesn't come in when you think it will, whatever the case is. So Steve talked to us about how to be more fluid with those budgets so that we'll actually be able to manage them and say, oh, we were expecting this to be at 30%, it's at 40%, why the change? Whereas right now, we're not able to action upon it so well. So the good news is, from the warrant audit and the statistical analysis, there's no issues, everything looks great. The medium news, as I was going through and tying out some of the balances, I noticed that, and this is partly because we switched banks, partly because we switched bookkeepers, and partly because I think before we were running on a strictly cash basis, and we're trying to move to a modified accrual basis, which is what Steve had suggested to us. I saw inconsistencies with the mortgage payable line and the compensated absences, compensated liabilities, compensated absences lines at the financials, in that the compensated liabilities line hasn't been updated since last year, which is normal. It's a once a year adjustment, but normally, and after speaking with Marilyn, normally the way that it happens is once the end of year adjustment is finalized by the auditors. In the past, the auditors have made that adjustment in the books. This year, they didn't make those adjustments. They just made them on the financials that were presented, so no one changed the books. So the starting point was wrong in the system, so it's fine. because that number would have just stayed every month. So it's just going to be one entry to clean it all up. So what I'm going to do, and here's the ending piece of it, I'm going to table the financials tonight as well, so that we can go back and reflect the correct balances. What had happened with the mortgages was we didn't receive statements for the last couple of months because we were still making our payments because it's coming out of the account that's held at that bank, but the statements weren't coming in timely because we had switched
Because
accounts.
Hometown was bought out by Wallkill Federal, and in the process of the buyout.
Oh, the mortgage switch over. So they did a
Everything
retro switch
switched
systems.
over.
Yeah.
Right, so we have all of
We
the
didn't
information
generate-
now, we just need to make the adjusting entries, which is fine, it's not a problem.
Right.
What was seen in those financial statements for those months was that mortgage liability line didn't change. So what you should have seen was a reduction of that liability to the extent of principal that was paid out on those, from those payments, from those statements. Also, I believe we're going to take a deeper dive into that because I think in the past a static journal entry was made as opposed to one that was more reflective of the interest that was paid out versus the principal. So I think it was just, one static, this is how much interest, this is how much principal. So we're going to clean it up. So this is the good news. We're going to have that opportunity to do it because we're going to table this month. So I'm going to make a motion in a second. But next month we will vote on July, August, September, October, as well as the adjustment to the beginning of the year, because anything before the beginning of the year we're not touching. The auditors have already agreed to it. Whatever those adjustments are going to be are immaterial and have already been baked into the financial statements. So I think we're okay.
So July through October basically is what you're talking about.
For next one. But, and here's where that closing good news. So not only are we going to have the time to make the adjustments the correct way, as opposed to Laura, had offered to make those changes for us for now, so we could have voted on them, but I'd rather give us the time to, put everything right and take a look at it the way it should be.
Good.
The other benefit of it is I know you guys haven't seen financials in a while, so I want to send them out to you guys now that I've taken a look at them, in case you guys have any questions before we do vote on them.
Okay.
So, because I do think that's important as well. So at that point, I will make the motion for now to table all of the minutes July through September. Financial statements, I
I'll
apologize.
second it.
All in
Okay.
favor?
All in favor?
That was through September or October?
Through September.
Okay.
That's all we're doing.
Okay.
You have a question?
Okay. Very good. Now, we do have the finished audit. Is this where we should be voting on it, do you believe?
I'm fine with that. I didn't know that I'd be presenting, but it's fine. I took a look at the 2016
Yeah,
audit.
Audit committee would present that.
That's true.
The audit committee did not get the final audit of the revisions that were made.
Everybody got it.
To everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody got it. Well,
You're still on the hook.
Pass on that for a minute.
You have some time.
Let me go into mine.
What I will say in the meantime, I took a look at the auditor's report. It was an unqualified report. They didn't find any, anything really, for lack of better words. Free from material misstatement, free from frauds. Their inspection
I
went
would
well.
like to add, I've been doing these audits since 1996, and every year there's things you have to add. Like you could tighten this up a little bit or start doing it that way. It's the very first time when she said, and now I forget what she called it, but I knew what she meant. She said, "You're not going to like it." And I thought, "No, I like it. I don't care what you tell me. We'll do it." And she said, "No, there's nothing." Like, there has to be something. She says, "No, there's nothing except." I guess FASB is going to be changing the way it does its chart of accounts, and they're in the process themselves of learning that.
It's a
They will impart
codification.
that to us, right?
Yeah.
The other thing was cybersecurity, which by going off of TeamViewer and onto Intuit, we have taken care of. So actually, there is actually nothing, and that's never happened.
Like that for being proactive.
Right. So everything, we have so many controls in place.
And what I will say, honestly, actually, while I was sitting with Mary over the weekend going over the books, she showed me her bill book.
Right, the
And
bill binder.
she had said that auditors in the past have said, "Don't do this, it's a waste of time."
Right.
I applaud the effort. I
Okay.
think what she has is she has a checklist of which bills she's, constant bills that happen every month,
yeah,
and which ones have come in. Have we gotten the statement? Has it been paid?
yeah.
When did it happen? And who reviewed it? I think it's phenomenal. It is strong control.
Yeah, and the other,
Even if they think it's not
You made
efficient,
her
I think it's
happy.
phenomenal.
yeah, and the other thing is, Casey, that
because we had a question about it, and I was able to go back to the book and say, yes,
Yeah.
there is
Because
a
of
measure.
that sales
yeah.
ledger.
Okay, good.
I took this online financial course that was run by Jerry Nichols, who's the guy who wrote the Trustees Handbook. And one of the things he said was that at the beginning of the year, you should line up all of these bills that you pay automatically and then just make a blanket passing at that point in January to automatically pay these bills without having to bring them to the board, you know, like heat, lights, yada, yada. So,
I mean,
you know,
there is
having Mary do that facilitates that whole thing, knowing which ones are
exactly.
the constants.
Automation is a great thing, and I think even in our day-to-day lives, we utilize that as much as possible. There is value sometimes to not auto-paying, only because when there is a discrepancy, it's not, the money's not in my account, what happened?
Yeah.
You know, so there is some value to not doing it, but when it's a constant bill, like Cablevision, for instance, or Optimum, whatever it is now, which, by the way, we have a phenomenal rate on.
No advertising.
Sorry. I'm not saying anything about the company. I'm just saying we have a good rate here. That is the same amount every month. And that is something that you could, obviously. You know, utilities sometimes fluctuate.
Okay.
More moderate.
All right. Thank you, Casey.
Not a problem. My pleasure.
And good job. I think we all feel confident knowing that you're in charge of the money. All right, Jack, nominating committee?
We haven't met yet.
Okay.
I'd like to formally throw my hat in there. You told me last night to tell you, and I didn't tell you. So.
Oh, okay.
I'd like to throw my hat in the ring.
You would too.
Sorry, you got 3 years in.
Well, I'm up for,
Yes, you are.
To be your
Your term is
Yeah.
up,
yeah.
and you sent an email.
I already sent you an email.
Yes, and Charlie also has thrown his hat anyway. So
Well, yeah.
And I will
For
too.
these, yeah.
oh well, okay.
Well, that was easy.
You don't have to have a meeting, Jack.
No, but
No.
I want to be reelected as
But
Oh, well, that's an office.
you should let me know in writing though, just so I don't forget it. Sure.
Oh, okay. Does an email count in writing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All
Email
right.
is great.
Buildings and grounds, Charlie?
We have the issue with the roof, and I had contacted several vendors, of which only one got back to me. And I think it's because of the type of work that we're planning on doing, which basically is everything except for HVAC. It's all the stuff that makes the HVAC work. Your plumbing, your exhaust type stuff where you would have overflows of the water that gets condensated off, the wiring, the piping that goes on the roof, and actual roofing work, which my understanding was that they were going to be taking care of the roofing, and I realized through an email afterwards that they're not. They're saying that it doesn't look like there's the damage in the roof area is that bad. However, it would behoove us to go back to the roofing people and say, come out and take a look at it and make sure that it's okay. If it's damaged, we need to have them give us a cost of what it would take to basically replace that. They're not going to do the roofing. They're going to do everything else though. Pipes need to be painted, etc. So what I want to come to the board with is I don't really want to waste my time or anybody else's time continuing to chase after these people. In the email that I sent to you guys, I think it was $2,680 for WK Mechanical to come out and fix everything. So if the board is okay with that, I'd like to move forward with that and contact WK and set up a meeting because it's already starting to get cold. We have our first frost warning tonight. So yeah, bring your plates in. So if the board's okay with that, I'm going to move forward with that. Do I need a vote on that or?
Like we discussed that last month, and that was kind of where we were headed, right? But you kind of said you wanted to get other RFPs.
And I
you
couldn't.
just ran with it.
I should have. Okay, so I'm going to move forward with that. The other thing that I brought up was.
Do you want to call him or do you want me to call him?
I'll call him because I've already got emails out to him anyway. But he recommended that we contact this roofing company to basically say, look, can you come out and check on it and see if there's anything that needs to be, and maybe we have them come out the same day that WK is going to be here doing the work. That way he and his guys can point it all out to them and say, ooh,
So
here's.
let me know when they're going to do it.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. You'll be copying all the emails.
I'll call the roofing company and get them set up to go, and then I'll let the date be something else.
Yeah, I should have a date by tomorrow afternoon for you.
Okay.
Because I'm going to call Steve tomorrow morning and
Alright.
just say, hey, look, this is what's going on.
All right, we'll just communicate.
Absolutely, absolutely. The other thing is, of course, the Boy Scout who had come a few months ago. Just so you know, an update on that. He is working with the Boy Scout Council to get approvals on the plans and okays with everything that we ask for to make sure that they can do that. And that it counts and all that other stuff. So he was meeting with the Boy Scout Council sometime this month, was my understanding.
I think he did, but he had the wrong forms, and Amory Buckley and I had to re-sign his forms.
Oh, you did? Okay. So then you're more up to date than I am, because this is a week old worth of information. So, okay. So, but he's in process. So as soon as we hear something, I'll report it back to the board. But I wanted to let you know about that. And then the third and final thing.
Just a second, Charlie, he probably won't be doing anything with that till
I
the spring.
sincerely doubt, with tonight being the first frost,
Yeah.
that he's going to be able to get out there, because the ground's going to start to get too hard. He's not going to be able to do anything.
Yeah, you can't do cement.
Unless he's going to do it this weekend, when it's supposed to be back in the 70s.
7 days.
Yeah. We wonder why people get sick. So no, my thought is probably going to be sometime in March, April,
Yeah.
May time
That's
frame
what I would think.
is what I'm going to guess.
Unless it stays unusually warm, which
Don't know.
Sometimes it does,
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? It's really going to be more on the back of the Boy Scouts Council to be able to give him what he needs,
Yeah.
and to get back to us to say, here's when I can start. Because it's also going to be coordinating the time of the troop and everything else, and getting the materials together. So.
Okay.
But we're going to need to know that so that we can call in Tom to do the electrical work for the light.
Oh, Christopher?
Yes. If he's still available and can do that work, which... Okay, okay. My final thing is, I went to the trustee orientation meeting a couple weeks back. Donna and I did, and afterwards I had a nice little conversation with Grace in the parking lot from RCLS, and I was asking her about, because this is just driving me absolutely nuts. I created I didn't create. I actually went out and did research on the band application, and we deployed it. And I'm getting lackluster response on it. Some people like it, some people hate it, some people are like, what is band? I don't even know what it is. So in that effort, I said, you know what, we need a collaboration software. We really do. And I'm looking for something that will work for the board and the staff, and really even all of our clientele, the people that are out there, so that if they want to come in and type something to us, like the little notes that she gets, they could do that online. So I asked Grace, I said, does RCLS have anything, or can they recommend anything? And you get the little crickets in the background chirping, and she's like, we don't have that. And I said, okay. Another question. Is there, that you know of in any of the RCLS libraries, a tech-related committee? Because quite honestly, with the advent of all these new things that we're walking around with, IP phones and telephones and tablets that can be laptops and all this kind of fun stuff. We don't have anybody other than Alex. This poor guy is all by himself, and he's kind of just out there. And I wanted to find a way to be able to bring technology to the forefront in terms of a board committee, and call it like a tech app committee. And its design and function basically is to support Alex and anybody else that we might eventually hire to do all of the tech wonderful things. We just saw what he does.
Yeah.
That speaks volumes. And it's
Did you see all that he produced as far as our vote goes?
Oh, absolutely. I was looking at the thing he sent out today, and I'm going, this is awesome.
Right. We have bookmarks. We have a long banner.
Please,
yes.
Whatever it takes, get him the gold, the gold lacquer bars, and just keep giving them. I mean, yeah. So I'm
His head's getting very big now. Stop.
It's fine. It'll float away.
No. But my point being that, like, earlier this year we had some stuff going on with the Wi-Fi where it was working, it wasn't working, you know, all that stuff. And I worked with him a little bit. I don't want to take over his job. I'm really just looking at how can we enhance, from a board perspective, the library staff and augment what he does and enable him to do even more with the talent that he has. And if we come into a project like this collaboration software, I've got some stuff out there that I shot some emails out to people today, if you could log in and just set up your account and everything and take a look at it, give me feedback on it. It's more of a collaboration software than Band is. I would like to see if Alex maybe next year can create something like that that would help us to, you know, create something that we could maybe even sell. If it's not his bailiwick, we find somebody that can help him do it. But the whole point being that I want to set up some committee guidelines on what the tech committee would be responsible for. And really, it's just a way for him to be able to come to us and go, I need money and I need a little brother or sister to help me. Can you go hire somebody? And that's really his avenue to be able to do that, and us to be able to help facilitate to the public a tech forum, to be able to say, look, we're looking at some of these things that are ahead. I was looking at trying to put up a television set in here that we could make a multimedia TV. They've got the screen, which looks like that's what we're going to have to stay with in here, because if you look, you can't put a TV over there. You can't put it on any of the walls. So, yeah, I mean, you could do a ceiling mount, but now, the whole point of it being that, like when we had to do with Liz, when we had to do the Skype call, this would make that easier because it would be on a TV screen that virtually anybody in the room could see. We're also looking at potentially doing a bulletin board type system where you have the little television that tells you, it rotates through all the things that are going on. Maryland's been wanting that for 7 to 8 years. Why? Why are we waiting that long?
You also get a lot more engagement with digital media than you do.
Like you can't believe. So I want to empower that by helping create this committee. I think it's beyond the time. I wanted to let you all know about it. We've never created a committee before, so I don't know if this needs to go through bylaws to say here's what it is.
I would think it would.
We're thinking not only that, but then we'd also have to take it to Finance Committee as well.
Well,
budgetary adjustments to allocate for those.
Here's the other thing that I was...
They fall outside of the normal program.
Here's the other thing I was thinking about it. This could actually be a subcommittee of both Finance, Building and Grounds, and Library Operating, because really it falls in the home plate of all three of those. It touches on every single one of those.
I'm going to agree with you, but I'm also going to caveat in, it would also include long-term strategic planning. Because
it could.
And this is one of the things that Steve Hofer brought up, is that that is an area that strategic planning and long-term should be looking at, is our digital footprint and our digital sustainability.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, and the big thing that I got kickback from RCLS from, Grace was saying that, of course, Robert Hupsher is going to push back on privacy.
Of course.
Because of the whole security thing. The challenge is, if you look at any of the applications that are out there, whoever really wants in is going to get in. That's just all there is to it. The reality is that large corporations, my own corporation included, is putting stuff out there in the cloud. It's safe. It's safe. I mean, it's as safe as it can be. And we keep making improvements on that. Anything that we look at, we're going to be doing those same type of security protocols. So it's really a matter of making sure that, trust me, they're not going to come to a library to go looking for, what's your library card number? They're just not. That's the reality of it.
Not unless you're insured, your
driver's license.
Yeah, really. Well, there is that. Yes. So I mean, but even the barcode scanning thing, I was Googling that on here, going, ooh, is there a way we can maybe get a new scanner that would actually scan phones?
Expensive. There was a scanner. Some libraries have them.
They're $150.
I know, but we just got our scanners.
No, I understand. I understand. I'm just saying that, you know, again, we're trying to accommodate our clientele.
Yes.
This might, and you're starting to see more.
The network doesn't
No. We are absolutely not.
Right. So that's. I will table that, and I will take it back to bylaws and talk with them. I hope I know somebody on that committee and see what they say, and then we'll just kind of take it from there.
But Charlie, if I may,
absolutely.
We've always, with Alex and his predecessor, we've always wanted them to work in their gifts. And we're lacking in that area. I totally agree with everything you said. But I also agree that, I heard what you said about bylaws, but I think it would behoove us for it to be a subcommittee to start off with.
Oh, absolutely.
To get it off the ground.
Absolutely.
And, working into bylaws, as long as we stay budget conscious.
Yeah, well, and the whole thing is
but I think the sooner the better.
And that's really what I'm looking at is, he's busy. I don't
Oh,
want,
I know.
until the end of the year, he's already spoken for, so, he's already got a dance partner.
He has
Right.
no
But for
dates.
2018, for 2018, I'd like to be in line to be able to say, hey, I want to start to borrow some of your time. And I want him to actually help us implement this as much as I'm coming to the table with ideas and the rest of the board. That's why I'm bringing it out. It's a committee, absolutely. It's an open committee.
I think that, and I know Charlie and I have had this conversation, we are very cognizant of the prerogatives of the staff.
Oh, absolutely.
Meaning Alex and Marilyn and Mary and Carol and anybody else who's involved.
The whole staff. Yeah.
That nobody should worry that we're going to be usurping.
Nope. All I'm doing is enabling,
positions.
not usurping.
And any committee.
I have a full-time gig. I don't need to take on another full-time job.
Well, I
Trust
just
me.
think it needs to be said. But also, I lost the train of my thought.
Sorry about that.
That we need to have Alex and some other library staff people come in when we discuss this and outline the responsibilities of each of the staff, how it's going to function, so that we're sure that we're not overstepping our bounds.
Well, yeah, and realistically, the whole idea of the committee is to enable funding that otherwise wouldn't have been available, so that we start to earmark those things in the budget, yearly budget, so that if he does need a part-time brother, sister, or whatever, to be able to come in and help him, we can budget for that, and this committee will start to help figure out who is that person.
I'm in agreement with that.
I actually want to piggyback on that. To Pat's credit,
yes.
Not only, yes, that's not the intended purpose necessarily, is to just explain whose responsibility is what and show them that we're not usurping. But I'd like to take it a step further and use us as a thought partner for them. Have our subcommittee meeting with them. So not only are we thinking about our customers and the public, we're also thinking, and us as internal customers as the board, but them as the users of the software or whatever we're going to be implementing or changing or the technologies we're bringing them, let's make sure it brings efficiencies and ease to their day.
Well, and I wanted, the case in point that I was really making on this and what really sparked this whole thing was the conversation that Marilyn had. She said, I've been waiting for 8 years to have this thing. And I walked away from that meeting going, wow, why?
Because we were working on a building.
Well, but hey, you know what? That's the best time, because when you build a building, everything's cheaper buying it in that build process, because they can put in all the wiring. They can do all the infrastructure. Doing it after the fact, you've tripled your cost right out of the gate.
But also, you have to, not to belabor the point, but it also, the timing was off. I mean, we weren't there yet,
Well, but understand, this was
technology
8 years ago?
Yes.
For a long time,
Technology is totally different now.
That's before the building. Just to kind of set the tone. 8 years ago was way before the building. Building's what, 3 years old now? In terms of the remodel?
It'll be 3 years in March.
3 years in March.
Or January. Was
So yeah, I mean, we're talking, she had a good, even 2 years before that, she had a good 4 years where this is a dream that never got broached for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And the thing is it's not like bulletin board systems are, ooh, wow, they're the great new thing. They've been out there forever. Yes. I mean, churches, for crying out loud, have them on their lawn going, come see Jesus this weekend. Not to be crass, but I'm just saying.
Church has a TV.
They have some state-of-the-art stuff. Here we are in a library, and we got little posters that we're putting up that are absolutely gorgeous, but as Casey said, the digital media is really what people are looking for.
Yeah.
They want to have it here so that they can walk away with it. And it's like, if you point it out up there, oh, here's a website, let me get to that. And if I have the little barcodes on there at the bottom, then all they got to do is scan it, and it takes them right to that website.
You mean the QR code?
The QR codes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So how do we settle bringing this up, though? So you're just raising the issue now?
Yeah, I think he has to start a bylaw.
Okay, you start a bylaw, that's definitely
It's really just the concept.
Really? For a subcommittee? I don't think so. That was
Subcommittee would just
somebody.
be appointed by one of the committee chairs. Let's see. Who's on building and grounds that could maybe... That would be me! But I wanted to give everybody on the board a chance to speak their piece and say, hey, yeah, that's a good idea, or no, it's not. I mean, I want to get your opinion because I don't want to, basically be chasing my tail.
Well, I mean, I would think that it would sort of be a given, but I guess it hasn't, that we continue to, as part of maybe the operating committee, or, that we're always looking to, okay, what do we need? What are the customers saying that we need?
And long-range
that would
planning.
just be natural, that technology doesn't necessarily have to be separate from everything else that we need, that it's just another part of the conversation.
Look at it like this.
True.
Technology is infrastructure, meaning that in most houses you have, most, not all, you have plumbing, you have electricity, you have heating and air conditioning. Those are infrastructure type things. Guess what? IT technically has now become the fourth leg of the infrastructure. Because in today's world, I'm sorry, you really don't live without it.
Right.
How many places do you go into a restaurant and you go, wow, they don't have Wi-Fi here? Really? Come on, we're in 2017.
So, okay, we have to move on.
So,
We have
This is a touchy
presented.
subject for you.
I don't mean
What are the steps?
Yeah, I don't mean to shut anybody off.
No. But I'm just saying that this. If you want me to proceed, I'll proceed. I'm asking for feedback. That's what she's giving.
Yeah,
Say pursue.
and I think we're in agreement that it's.
Yeah, I think it has to be a part of what we do.
So I will call a meeting with the 4 committees that are involved, because you added long-range planning to that, and get those committee chairs to basically say, okay, here's basically what the rules are going to be for that subcommittee, and then I'll bring that back to the table next time.
Okay. And you want to include.
Well, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, sorry. Let me add to that.
And
Staff
Alex.
and management. Basically, if Marilyn or Mary or Alex is, they're absolutely going to be invited to the meeting. Unfortunately, it's probably going to have to be after hours because we all work during the day when you guys are working here during the day. I'll try not to do it on Tuesday.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Charlie.
Sure.
It's a great idea.
Okay.
And I'm glad to see everybody's of the same opinion. I think it's a great step forward for us. And we may be the first in the neighborhood.
We are with virtual reality.
Can I ask a building and grounds
I'm
question?
going to do that. Sure you can.
And I don't know whether it falls under your purview or whether it's even board related. I know that the key fobs for entry are designated who has access during which hours for different reasons. Can I have after hours access? Because Sunday morning I came to look at the financials, and because it wasn't 12 in the afternoon, I couldn't get in the building.
Yes.
My fob wouldn't work.
Yes. Well,
So,
Do it right now.
just
he's doing it now.
There he goes.
I will never be here before 7 in the morning, I guarantee you.
He's doing it.
Okay.
No, and building and grounds, Jack and I and Pat, all 3 of us should actually be 24-hour access.
You absolutely,
Yeah.
you guys
Marilyn,
absolutely
I'm still
should.
waiting on mine. He hasn't finished mine.
You didn't keep up. Didn't you ever have
The old
Just swap it in front of the door.
I
and
use
it's
it.
in.
They still work.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Your friend works.
Does it?
It works great during operating
Try it
hours.
out before
Yeah.
you leave and then we'll see.
It's not.
You don't have it here?
It's like a round thing, right?
Yeah, round and right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all it is.
Cool beans.
But let's
All right.
try it out. Okay.
Bylaws. Charlie.
We did not meet. We weren't able to meet, so we have nothing to
Great.
report.
That
You know,
shortens
I
the
just
meeting
have
a
a quick
little.
question
No.
for going back to buildings and grounds.
Yeah.
The roof, is there a warranty on the roof?
There's a warranty on the shingles that were put up and their installation. There's not warranty against damage that was caused by the installation of the HVAC. And that's what I was going back against Verticon with is, look, the roof was fine. Then you put in these AC units again, you put those back on, roof's damaged now. And it wasn't from physically lifting the ACs back in, it was from their faulty piping and wiring and all that kind of stuff. So they've got conduit or pipe that's digging into the roof because they didn't cut it correctly. That's dope.
He's got the warranty right there in front of him.
Warranty's right here, but it doesn't cover.
But it won't cover it.
No, that's an external factor. So we now have to pick up the cost for that because they've already said they won't. So that's why I'm saying,
Best Mechanical said they would.
well, that they're the ones that did the work. So
The plumbing.
yes. So we're at a standstill basically. So we're going to have to probably pay for whatever the damage is to any of the shingles that are up there that would need to be reinstalled. That's all.
But we're gonna have the roofing company come and tell us.
Correct.
What we do need to do.
Correct. If it's even necessary, there might not be enough damage that we have to worry about.
All right, we're only like 2.5 years in.
I can't imagine that it was digging in that much and vibrating that much that it's digging a hole in it, but I haven't been up there, I don't know.
Yeah.
And the pictures didn't show that.
Right.
So again, I'll talk to Steve tomorrow and then you and I will coordinate
And it's
that.
better to be safe than sorry because we don't want any leaks.
Right.
Yeah.
No, especially considering this is supposed to be a bad winter. So, you know, knock on wood, that's
Don't say that.
I
wrong.
know. I told
But-
my husband. All right, finance.
Nothing else to report, so I yield my time to audit committee if they want to talk about.
Okay, the audit committee did look at that report, the audit committee deleted the report. The audit committee went back in the garbage.
And found the report?
Yes, and I would make a motion, do we have to make a motion on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would make a motion to accept it as submitted, the final is submitted.
Myself.
All those in favor?
Great.
Unanimous.
It's the audit subject, all that. Technically, yes, it'd be a PCAOB
Who
move,
seconded
but
it?
only if we were a publicly held company.
Okay.
Jack seconded it.
Did you second it?
I second.
Oh, sorry, Casey.
I figured it was appropriate as finance.
You two sounded good. Are you wrong?
Okay.
All right, fundraising. Ta-da, Diane.
Uh-oh. You prepared?
Yes, I did mention that.
When did you do this?
I have things that are done without you in the room, you know.
Now, please don't fight in public.
Okay, so the first thing that you have here, the music in the library that we had back in September with Andres and his percussion kids. And it was not well attended by the public, but a lot of parents were there, especially the ones who had to drive the kids. And our, of course, board members who could make it were there. So Andres asked me for a list of everybody so that he would know who was there, who helped. So that's why I have it broken down by board members, the staff, patrons, and I have money for Casey because with the baked goods that we sold that day, plus what Joanne pushed on everybody, we made $201.
Ooh, nice.
I even bought my own cookies.
So did I.
There you have it.
I think the board members
I know.
more than anybody else.
Anne-Marie's little jarred things were just adorable.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to pass this over to you. It's $201.
I will actually ask if you pass it over to Laura.
Oh, sure. It's $201.
Actually, it has to go to me.
Give it back.
Okay, you had it for a second though, right?
Where's the
The
music?
bookkeeper acknowledges
Yeah,
that she
really.
was.
Right. So I would like to earmark that for something that we can use to do more music in the library, whether we use it for speakers or a microphone or something else to get
Ooh, we
more.
don't have a microphone. We used
And
to
you
have
don't
a microphone.
Don't have a PA either.
Oh, PAs, something. So if we could hold.
That's a sensitive stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Why?
In a library.
I'll tell you at another time.
Okay.
What I'll say, just from I have no problem earmarking it for a purpose of that nature. What I will ask right now is, and it's going to sound complicated, but I'm in the process of taking a look at what things are board designated versus what things are free and operating. So for right now, because it's only $200, we have it in the bank. I'd like to put it in operating. If you have something specific in mind that you'd like it earmarked for, not meaning like this specific program, but let's say it's specifically to do another musical display in the library.
Okay.
If we're going to board designate something, I want to make sure that we're specific on, and it doesn't need to be like myopically specific, but I want to have a general direction. If we are going to earmark it, and then this way we can say, we have this type of a program coming up, can we use those funds for it and apply it that way?
Okay.
Because I don't want to just generally earmark things, because later on down the road, it leaves subjectivity of, well, can we use it for this? What was the intent of the board that designated it for those funds? You know, assuming that we don't use it in the next, 2 months.
Okay.
And there's a change in hands or whatever happens, with the board.
Okay.
I just don't want to put us in a position where we have to think about the intentions of others.
Okay. Got it.
So otherwise, I have no problem doing that.
Okay. So anyway, thank you to everybody who helped. Joanne did do an amazing job getting people to,
Yeah.
to
And it was a very nice program.
it was very nice. And I spoke to him, and I don't know if your son was going to be involved in anything, but I did ask him if they'd like to do something else. Is Adam going to be around for I know you had mentioned that he might want to do something.
Not until next summer.
Oh, okay, perfect.
We'll talk about that.
Okay, because I spoke with Andres yesterday, and I know that the library is doing a holiday book and bake sale or something.
Right.
Yeah. So I talked to him about maybe not having it as big as it was. He's going to try to, just ask for volunteers, and we'll concentrate more on jazz kind of stuff, where they can sit in a corner and just play light jazz, and it'll be the kids having exposure again, plus a little bit of like jazz, and of course those parents will be here, so they'll buy stuff. So
that would be lovely.
Yeah. So I have to get the date. I'm not sure when Melanie's doing it, but we'll squeeze them into a corner. Yeah. You don't know when it is, right? When they're doing that?
Not offhand.
Okay. The second page I have here. We've become friends with Dr. Charles Holmes, who is a retired NASA heliophysicist.
Whoa.
Rocket scientist.
I found him. We found him at Greenwood Lake Library, and he is an amazing man. Retired Air Force colonel, retired NASA. Heliophysicist just means he studies the sun, and he does a lot of programs for us. He's done them at the middle school for me when I was part of the Gifted and Talented program. And so he now has 2 new programs that he sent to me and asked if we would be interested in doing something. And I said, absolutely. Sure. The man is amazing to listen to. And he's Charles Holmes, Holmes. And he's as nice as can be. He and his wife go all over Europe singing with their church choir. They sing in at Sugarloaf when they do their holiday Santa Claus do the streets thing. So, and he's a genius. So he's just so well-rounded. I love him. But anyway, so his 2 new programs, we did one when he right after Greenwood Lake Library, he came here and did the Sun. But he has these 2 new ones. So I told him we were having a meeting and that, we would talk about this and see about maybe getting him back in to do another program. We can charge $5 a family if we want to do it as a fundraiser, or just have him come into a program as a fundraiser kind of thing.
If you want it done just as a freebie, Katina can handle it.
Okay.
If you wanted to do it as a board fundraiser, that's a different thing entirely.
Okay.
So you just let me know what your intent
Okay.
is, and we'll
I think for stuff like this, you're probably better off doing it as
just
a freebie.
program.
Yeah.
So then I'll give this to Katina, and I'll ask her
Yeah.
to contact him.
Okay.
Or you can tell him to call.
Yeah. I'll get in touch with him.
And have him call Katina.
Okay. Because he's going to
But
want to
I'll
know.
also tell her to expect it.
Yes. He's going to want to know what equipment we have here. He usually just brings his own laptop and needs a screen.
Yeah.
And
We have all that.
Yeah, and I think if we have him do the climate change one, that one I think will be more interesting because he said he'll concentrate on this area too and explain why we're going to have a bad winter or not a bad winter.
Where's he from?
Okay,
He
we can
is from
accommodate that
Greenwood
too.
Greenwood Lake.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Other people want
Are we going to have a bad winter?
yeah, we're supposed to.
Okay, who else?
Charlie and Jack.
Building and grounds and Pat. All
Okay,
3 of us
sure.
should have 24/7.
Talking about Jack, Charlie, and Pat.
Me, I just.
You don't have to do it right now.
That's fine. It's still pulled up.
Oh.
Hasn't gone to sleep yet.
So all
So
right,
you're
so
looking
I'll
at this one as the one to
Yeah.
start with.
Yeah.
That'd be a good one.
Yeah, he's great. When he did the Sun one, part of NASA's give back to the community is for these gentlemen, these scientists, to come out and talk to the community. And he sometimes
Not just that, is it?
well, no, and that's what happened when we were at the middle school last year. I think it was, or the year before. He actually talked to the girls, and he spoke to them specifically, and they were in the audience, but he said, girls, this is not just science for men anymore. Pay attention to STEM, and and you could be just like me, and
They're
you
actually
could be a
looking
NASA
for
scientist. Yeah, they're
Engineers and scientists, female
Yeah,
engineers
NASA's
and
kind
scientists,
of pushing
because
for
A
they.
graduate of my college is an astronaut.
oh
Oh,
Yeah.
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 So he's never been he's never been off Earth, as far as going into space. But so when it was solar eclipse day, that's his thing, oh my gosh. So I called him up. I said, "Happy solar eclipse!" And he was actually going to Goshen or Warwick, I think, to watch his kids
we
came in
streamed
from
it here off of NASA.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because he went out live. He was on some mountain somewhere in Goshen or Warwick or something. But anyway, so that's something else that we can do. And then because we were having that music event back in September, a gentleman called Marilyn and she gave me his information. And I spoke to him. His name is Ken McNally. And he does programs around the area, mostly small. He's a singer-songwriter. He certainly isn't famous or anything, but he does go out into the communities and do small bars or little restaurants, whatever. His career was a mental health recreation therapist, and he used music with senior citizens or people with Alzheimer's or things, mental problems like that, where he was using music to kind of help them come out of their shell. And so he does have a website. It's https soundcloud.com/Ken McNally, McNally.
Is that on here?
No.
No.
Oh.
No, because I just cut this out of something that was on, because his web page is mostly just snippets of his music. I couldn't really put that. So he said, "Do you want help with it?" When we were doing it in September, I said, "No, it's with the kids, blah blah blah." But he would be interested in maybe doing a program here too, and that I believe we would charge for, even if $5 a family or whatever. But he will do sing-alongs, like kind of karaoke style, mostly like 60s, 70s, 80s music he'll do. He doesn't really do programs for kids as much as he wants the adults, to do these sing-alongs and karaoke kind of thing. So
If we did it in the summer, we could even have just like light food.
yeah, so I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago, and I told him we were having a meeting, and I would talk to you guys about it. And, I only know him from what I hear on his website. He sounds very folksy, and I think that's something that might go over well. He's not rock and roll. He just stands there with his guitar. As a matter of fact, the one video of him, he's playing in his living room, and his dog is walking around. So it's the cutest little
And
white
he approached us.
Yeah. So, I could tell him we'll look at something maybe in the spring or, early summer where we can do it outside, and maybe by then we'll be able to have a backyard and do that. So as long as that's something that, you want me to pursue, I will follow up with him on that.
Do we have any problem charging for programs in the library?
We have charged if there's a material charge, like
Yeah.
a painting class where you're going to have actual, like, walk away with a thing.
Yeah.
Or we can just put out a top hat and say donations.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Like, if he doesn't charge,
Right.
but
Well,
if he does, we have a programming budget though.
okay, because the Friends have money too, so we could always use some,
No, I spent that.
Yeah.
Okay, he has a programming
Okay,
budget.
okay.
Yeah.
And I told him, we're a library, we're not for profit, we're not going to be able to pay you $500 for your hour and a half.
No,
And he lives right in Goshen, so I said, we could certainly pay for dinner and mileage,
Yeah, we can do
give
that.
him $100 or
Yeah.
something. So,
Well, it gives him exposure.
right,
too.
exactly, and that's
Yeah,
I
that's
think he
exactly
wrote
what
the
I was
county
thinking.
song or something.
Oh,
he
really?
said, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
he has done a
Wrote the
lot.
county song.
It's just that nobody knows about it.
Yeah,
So,
he wrote the county song.
so
No, our county had a song.
He wrote it.
Is it on the tourism website?
I don't know. See, nobody knows anything about this guy, but he seemed like a very nice guy. He wasn't like a weirdo or something like when it comes to the library because you're having kids there or anything like that. I
It's an
think.
endorsement, right there.
I think he is just looking, to get his name out there, and maybe, in his late stage of his life, he wants to be.
Maybe just likes to
discovered.
entertain too.
Yeah, he does.
He's looking for
If you
audience.
look at his website, his music is there, like I said,
Yeah.
and it's not bad.
Cool, very cool.
Thank you. All right, grants. Denise?
Do you want to talk about that grant first?
Sure, I can mention that. My, it's along with the musical programming.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that.
Yeah, New York State Council on the Arts has decentralization grant program, and you can get funding to hire professional artists through that. And the grant deadline is November 15th, and a letter of intent is due on November 1st. And my son came up with this idea for a program for the library. He has a quintet, a chamber music quintet, and I'll just read his little description here. They want to do, it's called Hudson Valley Winds. They want to do a program for children. An afternoon concert date, mid-August, end of August would be appropriate, he felt, for them. To coincide with the beginning of the school year and people getting ready to go back to school, because they want to help draw children's attention to books, stories, and music, and educate as a fun and educational experience. The program they want to do includes Peter and the Wolf, which has all the different instruments in it, and with the narration, and they would talk about how each instrument represents an animal and the characters in the story. There's another piece by called Opus Number Zoo, and then they also want to commission a work for woodwind quintet based on a children's book called One by Catherine Matoshi. I don't know if anybody's heard that. I looked at it. It looks amazing. But he also said that part of their mission is for this concert to promote local artists. So if anybody knows of a children's book writer that wants, maybe they would commission a piece based on that instead from a local person. Anyway, the program will include a short Q&A for children in attendance, as well as a thorough introduction to the woodwind quintet, which is French horn. Please don't. French horn, oboe, flute, clarinet, and bassoon. And the composer, if they commission this work, will also be on hand. Their financial requirements are $400 per artist, per person. But through this grant from the New York State Council on Arts, if we get it, we can pay for it that way. So,
you know where that would fit in really well? And during our summer reading program, which is over by that time frame, but just before it, we do have big programs, and you've got a captive audience. A lot of people come to our big programs. That would be perfect.
Summer, what?
Well, we have summer reading, and it's usually maybe a 5 or 5.5 week program. It's usually done by maybe the first week in August is the last week. Oh, hi, Liz.
Hi.
Sorry,
that worked. First week in August.
Or the end of July. It's just people, we do get maybe about 3 big programs. And people are used to coming here, and there's a lot of people that attend.
Yeah, this, that was his proposal and his idea, and he has his quintet. So
I'd like to hear it myself.
Yeah.
It sounds very exciting.
It sounds like a lot of fun. If we can get the grant for it, I'd love to be there. So Adam, as the presenter, I went to a workshop on this an orientation session on this grant, and Adam, as the presenter, is responsible for submitting the grant, and of course he's never written a grant before, so I can help him with it, and if you want to be involved in it, you're certainly welcome to help too. And then we'll see if we get it or not.
Yeah,
I hope we do.
Awesome.
I hope so too.
Yeah, it's going to be a nice program this summer.
Yeah.
I'm not sure of the theme of the summer, but they're usually broad enough that you can fit everything in.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Marilyn, for that, it'll work just fine.
LT Library in New Paltz has done programs like this with this money, so it's not unheard of.
No, it's a great town.
What's the program like this? Everything.
Sorry, it's a chamber music program for kids with a wind quintet. My son has a wind quintet.
Oh, that's awesome.
Say that 5 times fast.
Not at this hour. Not at this hour.
So following on that, rest of the grants committee, I spoke with Marilyn about things that she thought that I should pursue. We won't qualify for Target's current grant program.
Okay.
But we will for Walmart, and I
Yes.
wanted to find out from you, because the window's closing on that,
Okay.
if you can give me one or two or even three things that, is away from the table, not to take up any time, but
Right.
if we can fine tune a couple of projects that I can possibly submit for, I will take care of that.
The theme for the 2018 summer collaborative reading is, I'm not kidding, music.
This won't fit in at all.
Wow. We have all these music people here. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Wait, aren't you in charge of editing those files?
Right, I just made a quick switch. I swapped 2018 and 2019.
They need justification,
No, it's
do
all
they?
statewide.
No, it would be so exciting to have a program like that here.
Great.
I mean, you can't get that kind of, in a small town, it's so difficult. You've got a city, but, educational institutions, but to bring it right here in the midst of the community would be terrific.
Great.
So let's hope that
And anyone who's
works.
familiar with Peter and the Wolf, the music is
yeah.
what it's all about. And
Yeah.
it's great music.
What an introduction for
Yes.
kids, too.
Right.
And they'll learn all about the instruments.
Yeah.
They'll get, to ask questions and touch the instruments. And
Especially in a library setting, because it also creates that knowledge base of an allegory of animals can be represented by music, animals can be
Right.
represented by
An instrument.
all different, whatever it is. You can compare it with animal
Oh,
form. Animals can represent a lot of things.
Okay, is that
Maybe
it?
not for the young ones.
All right.
Musical, but she loved that.
Denise, you may be getting a job. Or Donovan, you may be getting a job. So we'll hang tight until that happens.
Sure.
And public relations?
Library operating.
You missed
Yes, I'm just gonna say what happened to library operating. I'm thinking of long-range planning, Donna, I'm sorry.
I knew what you were
You
saying.
know what I meant.
But Anne Marie's not here anyway.
No,
Right.
she
Me
isn't.
too.
But
Okay.
I think we should say that we did open negotiations last Tuesday night. We met with the staff's negotiating team. Everything went very nicely. We agreed on a couple of proposals, minor ones. And I think I know we have asked the the staff's negotiating team to come with their full proposals. We didn't want to do it piecemeal because of the implications of money. Am I correct on all of this? Everybody who was there,
Right,
Jack
everything's
and
tied
Don and
together.
Casey
Yeah.
and
So
Charlie
good so far, yeah.
and
Absolutely.
Marilyn and I were there. So we're going to have to wait until they bring the proposals to us, and I think the date was October. Yeah, that's what sticks to my mind. October 23rd.
Yeah.
And then we will be meeting with them again. But we anticipate things going smoothly. It was a very nice meeting. Everybody was amenable.
Good
So, yeah. And also the personnel handbook, which we are still working on,
Yeah.
correct?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Policies.
all right, any questions? All right,
Wait a
now,
minute. No, yeah. What about, did we need to do anything about Alex and Marilyn?
Not tonight.
Not tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Yeah, just wanted to make sure.
we didn't feel we had that nailed down enough.
Fair enough. Just wanted to make sure.
But we definitely have to do it by next
By next month, yeah.
Okay,
December 1st.
you up?
Okay,
Ms. Terry?
public relations. I'm having fun.
You're doing a great job.
I've been
It made me look like a superstar.
busy. I did some publicity for the September concert, and I worked on, what else did I do?
You did the thing with Pat, and it
Did
came in this week's thing.
This week's
That was
article in the
nice.
Photo News. Pat and Marilyn helped me with that, and I'm
I
working
said she
with
put in
Alex.
everything except my demise.
She has that
I
chapter
don't want to
written,
write
but she
that.
I hope it's not for a while.
I don't wanna write that one. And I'm working with Alex and Marilyn actually on the November 7th election. So we've kind of been back and forth about the posters and the banner and the press release. I sent some ideas over for that, and I guess things are just moving along. Yeah. So that's what we're doing.
Yep. If anybody wants to write a letter.
Oh yeah, write letters.
Or you know somebody who would write a letter.
Forward the emails if.
That's that's it. Exactly.
That's it.
I was going to say, do you have anything up on Facebook about that?
You should be. I don't know.
Yes, the original plan is we're staggering. So this week is a mass email, and every other week it's going email, Facebook, just so people don't get burnt out on one platform.
I don't know if the library wants to post from their account for this specifically, or if, and I'm not really good at checking Facebook all the time, so if you want to send it to me and I'll be happy to post it. I'm a member of a lot of like the moms groups, the Orange County moms. And
Great idea.
So maybe you would take that post and push it out to the same with like United Monroe or Monroe Helps or any of those.
Monroe Woodbury Parents.
Not to get into the politics of it all, but it's bipartisan.
Yeah, that's great.
Just to get that other digital faceprint out.
Sure,
absolutely.
More the merrier. What'd you say, Terry?
I can put it on the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually, on my Facebook page, I posted that today, the thing that you sent out. And I said, don't forget to flip the vote, because if you'll realize, most of the time you have to flip the ballot to do it. And that's why I said, flip the vote. Remember to flip over your ballot, because typically it's on the back.
United Monroe is putting something together that's going to be, I guess, on their Facebook page or wherever else they can do it. And it's going to remind people about flipping over, because there's us, there's the palm tree, the Constitution, there's a lot of propositions. So be on the lookout for that and take a notice of the drummer that you see.
They can have an extra ballot just for the back.
And I don't even mean just limited to this, this voting issue. I just mean in general, anytime there's programs, anything else that I can do to help support the communication troop, I'm more than happy to use my membership in those ways.
So each week we picked a different slogan. So the week leading right after the vote is the flip the ballot. So we're making sure
Nice.
Yeah, that's good.
Cool.
And totally off the subject, except that it's about voting. I had to do absentee ballot because of going to Florida next Sunday, but there was a proposition on there about the Forever Wild and taking land away from the Forever Wild in the Adirondacks. And I voted against it because I didn't grow up in the Adirondacks, but I spent a lot of time there as a kid. And then I read an article in the Times saying that this was a good thing and the people who lived up there wanted it because it could be a simple thing of building a bridge and it would take like 10 or 15 feet out of the Forever Wild and they couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. So this way they have a bank of land, and if they take 15 feet, then they put 15 feet back in somewhere else.
They did that. I
so,
suspicious on that one. I read it.
Yeah, because I said, no, you can't be touching that. But they said that the people up there really want it because it has hamstrung them in a lot of ways, like even easeways along highways.
Also commercial zoning.
Yeah.
So you've got dead, sleepy little towns up there because nothing can happen. So it doesn't attract new lifeblood into the town. Yeah,
but it's not even that. They don't want
to spend Black Friday season on
That's right.
I have experience, but maybe I don't want to.
Yeah, no, not with Black Friday. But anyway, the idea is that if they even want to do something like put up telephone, like towers and things like that,
kind of stuff,
so whereas I was dead set against it after I read this article and they explained that there is a need, I just thought I'd pass that information on because...
This weekend? Was it in there this weekend?
I was in the Times this past week, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just while we're on the topic of voting, and Marilyn in the director's report said something about a ballot that we didn't end up passing around.
We didn't do that yet.
Right, yes.
Yeah, don't forget to do that.
Just wanted to keep it.
Thank you.
Keep it on the forefront.
That'll be under new business?
Perfect.
Or is that old business?
That'll be
old business. All right.
Old business doesn't get lost. I don't care where we classify it.
Old business.
I'm not sensitive. You can call it whatever you want. All right, Donna, you have nothing to say, right?
Long range planning committee. We have some long range planning coming up. We'll probably.
That's very positive.
Well, if this technology
You're planning
committee
the plan.
thing, it really does kind of play into long range planning. So we
Absolutely.
may end up meeting sooner rather than probably we're thinking of regrouping next year. Because we just rolled out that long range plan,
That's
but
right.
now maybe this will cause it to kick into action sooner.
Sure.
Sounds good. All right, we have no special committees right now. I would say that the technology committee, once it's formed, would go under number 7.
Let's be politically correct.
Subcommittee on it. But I won't change what it says here.
Which one?
Old business. Okay.
Showing up for it.
I don't know.
All right. This is the ballot for the budget for RCLS. And as Marilyn pointed out before, they had meetings in every one of the counties and no one showed, which I would say means no one has any questions about the budget for RCLS. So I'd like to propose a motion to accept the budget of the RCLS system for next year, 2018. Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay. Liz seconds. All those in favor?
Can I just ask, how much is the budget? What is the budget?
The bottom line is,
Just curious.
$3.2 trillion.
You must have been the narrative. Wrong organization.
We are dance card getting paid for itself.
That's right.
here's the operating
It'll
budget.
dance for you.
3
It
trillion?
looks
Yeah,
like
better.
it's 4,911,568. Is that correct?
It's always a few digits off.
Just
A few.
Okay, over here. it's all-
Intolerable.
Oh, yeah.
That's why
It's
I-
less than it was. 4,764,197.
It's less than it was the year before.
Less than it was in 2016.
4764197. That's what you said.
4,764,197. All right. Good question.
I went to we had this presented to us as directors and I paid attention.
So the
Thank God.
motion's on the floor and seconded. It needs to be voted.
Yes, it does. All those in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you very much. New business? Anybody have new business? No new business? Good in welfare?
I have something. As you know, Joy took a 8-week sabbatical due to family problems. But they continue to become worse instead of better, so she's leaving us as of October 24th.
I make a motion we adjourn the meeting.
Hey, Charlie always adjourns
Oh,
the
wait a
meeting. All those in favor? Aye.
Who wants to tell the
But I
voices say
seconded
nay?
it.